My mini feasibility study proposal for 804. The first step in the mini feasibility study is the preliminary analysis, looking at questions such as, is there a current unserved need, or is there an existing market for this study, are important questions to ask before you get started. Inmates and prisoners are often underserved. They are occupationally deprived, and it leads to repetitive criminal behaviors and arrests and often risky behaviors in jail and outside of jail. So that would answer the first one, are they currently unserved population, which is yes. The second question, the practice or study project exists to serve a market which is in demand, is yes, this is a non-traditional setting, and professionals who work in this field often are overrun or overworked, causing a need for more professionals in this market. The research is outdated and very minimal, and because of that, more studies need to be done in this area, and would be very advantageous to have OTs see that research and realize that there is a need and there is opportunity for them to help with employment rates and life integration after release. On the right, you see questions that are very important in the preliminary analysis, being, are there capital requirements? Are they affordable? Which this study is almost free, as you'll see on the next slide. So there are no capital requirements. The project doesn't have any expenditure requirements that are outrageous, and the market is very important. This is something that needs to be done. So all of these questions answer no, meaning that it's a very good study to do. As mentioned on the previous slide, the expenses for this study would be very minimal. Most of the study is contacting OTs that are already employed in this particular niche. And because of that, the survey would be sent out through email, meaning that it would be free. If the survey is done through a specific application, there may be a fee to buy that application. If the study is being done in person, then traveling costs may apply. And then the other thing is, most inmates have free emails, but they don't always have free phone calls. And so as the study, that might be a cost to take into consideration, but most of the communication being done through this study would be free. The third step is the market survey. It looks at the geographics and the populations before you start your study, to know what you are looking at and how you should go about your study. To start, I looked at how many people were being released from prison, and it said that 95% of people in jail and prison will be released at some point in their lifetimes. Because they are an occupationally deprived population, when they are released, they often don't know what to do or have those life skills needed for community reintegration and to be positive civil servants, and they often become rearrested. 40% of incarcerated people are African Americans, even though only 13% of the US residents make up African Americans. That means that they are often being arrested multiple times for the same crime or for increasingly worse crimes. 30% of the population were released under the age of 30, and under half were released under the age of 40. Common perspectives for this population is that you must control criminal behavior, and that criminal behavior, you need to incapacitate the people who are having risky behaviors. And the studies that I've researched often explored those subjects and found that if you try to control these criminal behaviors, it led to more arrests, and then they'd be released and continue that risky behavior because they're not being supported in the community, and they'd be arrested again. So occupational therapy treatment, it makes up life management skills and leads to better community reintegration. Unfortunately, according to the AOTA website, only 2.4% of OTs worked in mental health and 1.7% worked in the category other, which would include the criminal justice system, which is a very small amount of the occupational therapists that exist out there. So the facility design would be prisons and jails usually. The nearest locations for interviewing these inmates would be the Richard L. Bean Juvenile Detention Center, the Roger D. Wilson Detention Facility, and the Knoxville Jail. Although this study also has the capabilities to be done completely over email as a survey to either occupational therapists or to inmates. Taking that into consideration, requirements for visiting inmates, you have to make a reservation online, bring your license or ID, and you can't wear any tight clothing or jewelry, and the supplies needed for this study would be as simple as pen and paper. So step 6 is review and analyze your data. And from all the previous slides, we see that the data supports this study and there's a need for it. It is achievable in a time frame. It's very simple, and usually simple research designs are very obtainable and they don't have as many risks. Unfortunately, when working with correctional facilities, there's always a question of safety and of risk. So taking that into consideration, not giving me anybody my full name or the location of my school, always taking someone with me to go to these interviews, and maybe taking a friend to make sure that I'm always in a safe environment, and making sure to call ahead and work with the correctional facilities security to make sure that everyone is on board and everyone understands what's happening. My hope is that this research will encourage occupational therapists to seek job opportunities in the non-traditional setting, especially in the criminal justice system, because it will significantly improve crime rates, because occupational therapists are uniquely trained to help the people who don't have any life opportunities in occupations. And then to reiterate that this plan for the study should be completed within the time frame allotted. So one of the final steps with the mini feasibility proposal is step 7, making a decision. This requires more answers from me, where it asks, is there a commitment to making a sacrifice for my time and effort? And I believe that I can do that. Will the activity partially satisfy long-term aspirations? Yes, I've been looking forward to this for a really long time, and I do think I can do a good job at it. Does this preliminary feasibility study look like it may support my thesis project idea? Out of all the research that I've done, I believe that this study can help fill a need in research and in the field of occupational therapy, and I believe it supports my thesis. As far as what I've learned from conducting this project and these steps has been that the sacrifices that I'm going to have to make to do this study is going to be a lot of time. I don't think there's a lot of financial sacrifices that will have to be made, but contacting facilities that are necessary, such as the Regional Administration Bureau for Prisons, they can help me contact the professionals in the occupational field, as well as reaching out to the occupational therapy professionals on Commune OT will help this go very smoothly. It's going to take a lot of work, but I think I can. Taking all of these steps into consideration, I think this study is going to be a positive experience, and I think it's going to fill a need for the research field in general and encourage other occupational therapists and occupational therapy students to explore settings that aren't always the first choice, and I'm excited about having this opportunity.